Hello, Jordan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super pumped to talk and just chat with you.
Yes, I'm so excited. And this is one of the first few episodes that are in the transition from the Market Beautifully podcast to the Profit Planner podcast. And I'm so excited that Jordan Gill is going to be in one of these, transitioning episodes because Jordan is so amazing at making profit productively, which, is what we're all about here. So I'm excited to get into automation and consistency. But before we even do that, Jordan, tell us about the Kolada group.
Yes. So, hey everyone listening. I am Jordan Gill, the founder of the Kolada Group and the host of the System Save Me podcast, where we really help business owners maximize the efficiency of their technology and their team. We are not about hustling for hustle's sake. We are all about making sure that we are maximizing that time because who wants to spend all the hours with a love affair with their laptop? Not me. So I am, all about taking vacations and spending time with girlfriends, going to Nordstrom's for their anniversary sale randomly and all these different things. It's like, that's more fun than, spreadsheets and all that. I love spreadsheets.
Me too.
But
Give
we
me
love
all the
spreadsheets.
spreadsheets.
But generally speaking, business owners, they want to spend time with their clients and their family, and it's all about the relationships that they want to spend time with. So,
Totally.
so that's my jam, and I am gonna become a dog mom, which I'm very excited about.
When?
She's gonna be born sometime this month, so that's like my random fun fact lately is
Oh
like
my
she's gonna be
gosh.
born. She's gonna be born. So I'm gonna
What
get a
breed?
little toy golden doodle.
Oh my gosh, you and Jerisha.
Yeah, we're gonna get Actually, our dogs are like step siblings that we share the same dad.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So Jerisha Hawk, she was on the podcast a few episodes back, and that's who we're talking about. So Jerisha recently got a golden doodle, and
Yeah.
the cutest thing ever. Like I just see her Instagram stories, and I already have two dogs, but I'm over here like wanting another one
Yeah.
because so cute. And now you're getting the steps brother, sister. Oh,
That's
you don't know, or
yeah. I'm
stepsister.
yeah. I'm
Okay.
choosing a girl.
Ah,
Yeah, and we already have like matching little bows that are like Burberry little things. So it's ridiculous but amazing.
definitely amazing. Definitely amazing. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't know this.
Yes. It's so
Okay,
exciting.
that's so great. Okay, and you also run the System Saved Me podcast, and I want to mention that because this podcast is amazing. It's all about systems and automation.
Yeah, it's got a really, systems has a kind of scary stigma to it. It sounds really complicated and techy and and I really want to just kind of remove that gross film off of it because it really everyone has systems, and it's funny that people don't recognize it. A lot of times, my clients are like, "I'm not a systems person." I'm like, "Well, you're doing this, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing this, and then you're doing this." So that's a system. It's just like an order of steps in a certain sequential order. Like maybe it's not the most efficient system, yes, but it's still a system. And
Yeah,
so really
totally.
trying to shake that like, oh, I'm creative and I can't be a systems person. It really is doable and most likely is already happening. So let's just tweak them up. So System Saving Podcast is just really trying to shake off that gross stigma that the word systems has.
Ah, I love that so much because that's so true. Everyone already has systems. It just
Yeah.
might not be the most efficient in the world,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's okay. They're there. That's a starting point.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the triple threat, and I'm so pumped. So let's start with the inbox first. Is that okay? Cool.
Yes, we totally can.
Okay.
So the triple threat, generally speaking, is the three areas that are the three biggest time sucks of solopreneurs or even people who have small teams. And I just really wanted to it was something that everybody kept coming to me to. It wasn't, the full picture of their business, but it was like these little annoying, tedious
Mm-hmm.
tasks that just
Mm-hmm.
kept coming up. And I hate tedious tasks, especially when it comes to your inbox. I think everyone has a general distaste
Oh my
for their
gosh.
inbox.
I have a major distaste for my inbox. I'm not gonna lie. I can't stand my inbox. It's there. And I'm so bad at not wanting to respond to some emails. And then some emails it's just annoying because you're like, why did you send me that? But I wait for like sometimes 6 to 7 days to respond to someone because I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? It's like in the back of your head and you're like, well, I'll just do something else to avoid it. I'm just being super honest here. I hope I'm not the only person. So if you're listening, just DM me on Instagram to let me know I'm not alone.
Yeah, I can tell you're not alone because I've seen many an inbox and heard all of the inbox insanity stories. And I think it's because most people look at their inbox and see obligations and not opportunities. And so who likes obligations? Nobody. So I really like to shake it up and make your inbox work for you. And, that can happen in a variety of ways. But if I'm going to be mainly talking to my Gmail users or Google Suite, so sorry, Outlook, get on Google. That's like my tip. But really, it comes down to understanding where things should go and really if you should read it or not is like the first step, because you get those emails, from Stripe or PayPal when like payments come through. And I don't know about you, but I hate like having to mass check and like mark as dead. It's so stupid. And so
I agree.
And so I just created a label or a folder that's called payments. And there's actually a sub-label called sales, and all of my Stripe and PayPal stuff goes into there, and it automatically marks it as read.
Okay, so that is amazing, because I'm just going to say something really embarrassing right now. I love the payments, but I did not like the emails. I just created a new inbox for them, and I never check it. I know that's terrible. Well, I put it in like a inbox that I tell myself, okay, when I have someone that's going to do better inbox management for me, like someone that's just for inbox management, I'll give them this inbox. And so in my head, that's what I've done. It's not smart or strategic. It's really just I don't want to deal with this right now, and so this is my solution.
Right. So this is what's happening. Yeah. And on that point, of having team members and all of that good stuff, I actually, logins was a big thing. So it's kind of related to inbox. But if you're logging into a bunch of different things and you're sharing your logins, you're like, did I put it with my personal one? Did I put it with my work email? Yes. What's my username? What's going on here? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to avoid all of this nonsense, and I'm going to use the same email. So I created an alias, which essentially is kind of Inception. It's like you have your main inbox, and then you have an inbox within your inbox. Don't get too crazy with that. And so software at the Kolada Group is my username for every single software I use in my business. And it really streamlines and helps me, and I have my passwords in LastPass, but it really helps my team and myself just know that just in case something happens, like it's always going to be software at the Kolada Group. And you can do that with any G Suite user. You can create basically an alias, again, software at the Kolada Group, so software at whatever your domain is. Right. And again, I also do payments at thekoladagroup.com, and that is for any invoices and any receipts that I get from folks. So I keep all of that together so that when tax season comes, which we're in the middle of now, unfortunately, and so I just have to open that folder, and that's where everything is. Yeah. So I use it for a lot of different things. I've had clients use aliases for client stuff. So if they have a mastermind or something like that, then they'll have clients at thekoladagroup.com or whatever. Or, if they have a certain course, I do this with Triple Threat. If you are in the course, the support email for that is triplethreat at thekoladagroup.com. So I know that anybody who emails that, well, now you all have it, so I guess you could email it, but whatever. But I know, generally speaking, that it's going to be people who are inside Triple Threat needing help. So then I know, okay, if I'm going into the Triple Threat at thekoladagroup.com inbox, I'm going to be answering questions like that versus my general support, which could be password login issues. It could be a myriad of support questions. So it kind of helps me separate and understand basically what territory I'm going into to get my mindset ready for that. And it also helps me prioritize as well. So I want, my students and my clients come first, my team comes first, and then everybody else after that is kind of after. So I can look at my inbox and know exactly where I can prioritize my time. Because some people can just wait 6-7 days if you're just, asking something random. But
for some emails, I mean, obviously the most important ones, but there are some emails that I'm just like, this is not that important. Okay. Right. I think this is incredible, and I have never heard this before, so I'm just sitting over here. My mind's just slowly exploding. But I do want to mention, so an app that I found, if you've ever used the Google, I'm obsessed with Google email, and I have multiple, I think I manage 4 different inboxes on Google. And, because I work at an agency, so then I have a client inbox, I have all this stuff, right? Yeah. So I hated going into a browser and then having to log out and log back in on my Google account. Yeah. It's literally the worst thing in the world. And it's like those 60 seconds of your time, you'll never get back, and it's stressful. So I found a solution. It is called Kiwi for Gmail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kiwi for Gmail. Do you use Kiwi? Okay, I love Kiwi because it's just like this magical unicorn desktop app. So you can have all of your Gmail accounts on this app and then switch tabs between your inboxes. And it connects your Google Sheets, your Docs, your Drive, your calendar, literally everything. It's there. It's incredible. It's incredible.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that is such a magical unicorn of a desktop app. It is one of my favorite things because it's like this, why do I have to log in, log out? What's going on? Like that's literally what's going on in your brain. So everybody go and get Kiwi for Gmail. I'm pretty sure
it's $10.
It's both Mac and It's Mac and PC.
It is, for sure. It is. Yeah. And it's like $10 one time. It's not monthly. And it's worth every single penny. Honestly, I would pay $50 for that app because it is such a life changer. And, I would never say, oh, yeah, I'm spending $50 on an app. But Kiwi is worth that. Okay, now I want to get back to these sub inboxes. Is that even a word? Yeah. We're going to use it, though. We're going to go with it.
Right.
So you have software at da-da-da, payments at da-da-da, all these aliases, however you say that. So you have them all under one inbox. What is that email for that inbox? What does that look like? That's where I'm kind of getting a little confused.
Totally. So hello@thekolada group is my main email inbox. Gotcha. It has a lot of shenanigans in it. And, I have a separate Jordan@thekolada group. Honestly, I don't use it that often. But
so don't email that. Okay.
Right. And so hello@ is like the main hub. So anyone can email hello@thekolada.com. And then inside of there are these aliases. And if you have, Google Suite, then basically you just go back into your admin and literally it takes 2 seconds to create an alias.
And do you have to pay more for that?
No, which is what's so awesome because, you pay for those Google Suite emails.
Right.
And basically you get 30 aliases that you can have.
What?
30. It's insane. So basically if you have like an admin person on your team, like you can give them a separate email address, but if they're just going to be using the Hello app mainly, you can also just create like a Kim at blah, 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 and it can actually live inside Hello app. So she can respond as Kim at inside the Hello app inbox.
Whoa. Okay, so it still looks like it's responded at Haley@profitplanner.co, but it's in the same inbox.
You can have it be either. You can have it respond whatever email address is the main one, so hello@ or Haley@ or whatever. But you can also have it be responded to as an alias. So either one.
Wow. So then if someone is emailing software@profitplanner.co, it immediately goes into a folder.
Yes.
Of the software folder or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The label folder.
And then a VA could check that to make sure you don't need to be updated with anything and you don't have to look at those emails.
Yep.
Okay, wow,
Exactly.
that is incredible. Okay, so now how do you set those automation rules? I'm still just being mind blown over here, and I feel like I'm smiling really goofily, and if you're watching the video, you're probably like, what the crap is she doing with her mouth? But I'm so happy. You just have no idea. Okay, go on. Automation rules.
Yes. So the automation rules are awesome. So some of the fun ones, basically the automation rules are what are filters. So they're if then statements. If you've
Mm,
never gone in and looked at them, that's what they are. So if this email comes in, then it does something, or I respond, or we mark it as read. There's
mhm,
like,
mhm.
I think 8 or 9 different options. And so and you can find it if you go into settings, and then at the top of the tabs, it'll have filters. So you just click the filters, and this is what I'm talking about. So one of the fun filters for folks is like some of my clients have PR at domain.com as an alias. And so they put that on their website, and that's where they want any sort of PR inquiries, podcast interviews, speaking, all of that. And what's great is they're like, yeah, but I don't want to like have to continually check that all the time. I just want to have a day that I check them and I can filter through and answer. So what we did was we built actually an automation rule where if somebody emailed PR at their domain.com and we could pick out the word podcast, then they automatically got a canned response sent to them. So like she didn't have to send it. It was literally just sent automatically. Because we can infer that that person is emailing PR at to be a guest or to have her as a guest on their show. And so we had an automated canned reply that said, hey, we're so excited that you want me on your podcast. Fill out this form. So we had a Google form filled out so that you don't think about how, your brain reads and scans emails. And so we created a podcast form so that people could insert the information that she wanted to know
Mm,
and not all this other gunk that people put in those emails.
right. Yeah.
So,
The things that they put in those emails, you're like, what? Why? What are you doing?
right. Like I can't, yeah.
Yeah.
So So then they fill out the form, and then at the bottom of the email it says, I respond to requests on Mondays. So the nearest
Ooh.
Monday, expect a response from me.
Oh my
And it's great.
gosh.
And so
So she
people fill out
batched
the
her
form.
podcast time too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it's like a batching on top of a system. This
Yeah.
is like, this is
It's
just heaven. Ah, this is why I love you, Jordan Gill.
yeah. Yeah, we can get really deep into this stuff, friends.
I'm so happy. Okay. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And then there's simple ones of just, again, like you said, or like we talked about, the payments emails that are coming in, you can just mark it as read, and that's an
Mm,
automation, and that's an
mm-hmm.
automation rule.
Right.
Really simple. You can also have things skip the inbox. So if you're wanting them to go into the folder, you have to hit skip the inbox and go into the label or folder,
Okay.
not just the label or folder. So that's like a little heads up thing. And yeah, those are the main automation rules that people play with. Also, for example, I have an affiliate manager, and whenever we have one of our JV partners schedule a webinar on
Mm-hmm.
my calendar, it automatically goes to my Hello at. So then I actually have an automation rule that's set up that automatically forwards that email to her so that she also gets notified when those webinars come out. And so then again, she doesn't have to ping me on Slack and be like, hey, did so-and-so, come through? It's just like the email comes to you when she does it. And so it makes it really, really easy. And it's all those little things that add up. Like I said, these are tedious tasks, and you
Yeah.
don't think about how much they add up. And I am like the anti-tedious task person. So I'm like, if I do something twice, like I'm never doing it a third time. Like
No,
I'm like, I
yeah.
see the pattern. I'm not doing it anymore. How can I get this off my plate and automated? And really, software is there to support you.
For
And
sure.
people think of software as this crazy, crazy nonsense. And a lot of these tools are free or are not very expensive. And that's really what it's about, keeping your expenses low, which, software is a lot cheaper than people. I love people.
Yes.
You can't replace people. But if there's just little things like that, you pretty much can have your software, your probably already using do that for you instead of, wasting the time that you're paying for somebody else to do these little things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, like, let's say I had someone that I hired that was like a VA to just do inbox management, and she was doing all of these things that Google could just automate, and it's free. I mean, imagine that Google would have already done that for free, but then imagine what she's doing with her time. She could be doing something else with her time that could be adding to my baseline, scaling the business, or serving my audience better instead of staying in the inbox. I mean, it's just her time is now wasted in a way when Google was already doing that for you for free. This is what I talk about. And I was on a podcast earlier, and she asked me something about when is the right time to hire a VA. And I think a lot of people hire a VA way too soon because they're not using their systems and actually automating what they need to be automating first. Because, let's say Meet Edgar, it's $50 a month, which I don't use Meet Edgar, but it does recurring post where it automates your social media. Okay, well, you're spending $50 a month, and people think, oh, that's a lot of money. But think about how much you'd be spending on a VA that's doing that. I mean, just on Instagram management alone, I know some people's packages are $200 a month, and even then, they're barely making any money off their time. To be on, that's a whole other conversation. But they're spending $200 a month on just Instagram when Meet Edgar can automate your entire social media for the year on $50 a month. I mean, this is not an ad for Meet Edgar. And I don't use Meet Edgar. That's just the example that I thought of. I don't know. It just really does blow my mind. And I think there's this, maybe a little bit of a dreamy or like a rose-colored glasses when it's around to hiring a VA, especially when you're first starting out. And I think if, you've used all your systems, a VA is really great for customer support or to have like the human touch of things. But don't hire a VA for something a system could do.
Yeah, exactly. Get your systems all in line, your automation all in line, and then hire somebody. Because you don't want to be paying for double. And a lot of people, and that's, people don't know they're paying for double. You don't know what you don't know. You're like, oh, I didn't know Google could do all of these things for me, or Gmail or whatever. So I had somebody do my inbox. Well, now you know, and now you can automate, and now you can have them do something else. And that's totally perfect. But so many people hire too quickly. That's usually something that I love people. I love having a
me
team.
too.
I love hiring.
I have such a great team.
Yeah, like giving people the opportunity to be in their zone of genius is like so fulfilling. But also, let's just be a smart business owner. And like really, really leverage your tech before you have a team.
Oh, totally agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when you brought up Meet Edgar, there's actually I use Smarter Q.
I've heard of that. I know I haven't even used that or seen it used, but do you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I actually just met the CEO of it at Social Media Marketing World, which was hilarious.
Nice.
Like literally he was just standing at the door and he was like handing out cards and they said Smarter Q on. I'm like, oh, I use that. And he's like, really? I'm the CEO. And I'm like, oh, hi. And so it's literally the exact same as Meet Edgar, but $19 a month instead of $50. So there's no excuses, friends. No excuses. You can make $20 a month work. The end. So, so that's like total lifesaver. And that's another thing that I talk about in Triple Threat is just how to maximize Smarter Q, and also how to batch your social media. So creating topics, and then creating basically 12 posts per topic. So if you have just one topic a day, so that's 7 topics, Sunday through Saturday, and then 12 posts under that, then you literally have 90 days worth of content and you can just rotate it. That's literally what I did all of 2017. I literally haven't done it in 2018 because life is crazy. But looking, at analytics and the marketing side of it, it's like, okay, I saw these posts did well the past year. I saw these posts didn't. I can ramp up this topic and dial down that topic and, shift some stuff around to really make it fresh. And that's super helpful, but it's also a way, again, for all of you marketing analytics goodies out there, it'll help you understand what's working and what's not. Because a lot of times when you're just scheduling to schedule, you don't see the patterns. And so it's like, oh, like this one with my face did well, but this one didn't. And maybe you were talking about two different topics, and it's like, really, it's not about your face. It's about
Right.
the topic, you know? And so you can understand that on certain days a little bit better if you have this kind of batching topic process, I guess.
So what do you do for social media? Because that is a part of the triple threat.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. I totally preach creating 90 days of content and rotating it. And again, like I said, I have, Mondays are when my new podcast episodes come out. I can batch those because I have my episodes out really far. But some people who aren't super ahead on that, it would take a bit more to be manual. But then there's like Tuesday's tips, or like Wednesday, bookworm Wednesday, and you're talking about the books you like or whatever else. And you look at my feed and you don't recognize that there are topics, like from just looking at my feed. It's not like I hashtag it and make a big woohoo. It's just internally, I know that these are the things that are going out on the specific days. And I have 12 of each going out, which is 3 months worth. And then it just goes on autopilot, and it helps batch, because if I know that Tuesday tips are something, and I'm like, okay, well, let me go in my email and see what tips I've sent in emails. And I literally shot it and, clip it out and put it in my social media. Or I look on social media, what have I sent out and given as a tip there? Looking at places that I already have given this information. Because again, we don't really need to reinvent the wheel, because social media, you have people that are on your, social media forever, but there's always new people coming in. And here's the thing. I don't think anybody has ever said to me, you already posted that. I don't think even once. So don't be afraid to repurpose. I'm not saying literally have the same thing go out every single week.
That would be noticeable.
That would be noticeable. But 3 months out, I don't even remember what I posted last week. I don't know what Jerisha posted last week, and I look at her Instagram every single day. It helps you just like alleviate and be like, okay, I don't have to create all new content all the time, because that, as a business owner, can be a time suck, because you sit there at the blinking cursor and you're like, why am I supposed to write today? And just stop all of that. And what's great also is something's going out on social media, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to post, post. You know what I mean? And it helps mix it up, which is super awesome. But there's not this, I have to post today, I have to post today, I have to post today that people have. Because again, their systems are supporting them and already pumping out social media content. So that's my big thing with social media.
No, I love that. And something that Jerisha mentioned, because she has a Facebook group, is she has all of her posts in her Facebook group posts scheduled for the year. And it's like, why didn't I think of that? I mean, I pre-schedule my post for sure. And, I do a lot of automation when it comes to that. But I never thought about going so far as to say, okay, for the next year, I'm literally done for 2018. And now I just batch my time on engagement. And that's all I have to worry about now. Not worry about, because I love my group. But you know what I'm saying? So, wow. That stood out to me. So I love that you're bringing that up. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Very, very, very similar. So,
okay. So, yeah. I'm excited about that. 90 days of content. That might sound a little intimidating, but it's not. Don't worry about it. You got this.
Exactly. Like, literally think about it as, okay, you have one topic per day. So that's 7 topics, and then 12 posts per topic. That's it.
See, you just broke that down. That makes it so easy.
Yeah. It's really not that bad.
Okay, now
I try to simplify.
I'm excited about what you have to say about the calendar, because I love. Are you talking about Google Calendar specifically? Is that what you use?
Yeah, so I use Google Calendar and Acuity. So I'm going to be talking about
And I'm switching to Acuity because I've been using Calendly, but with Acuity, I know that it can do things with Zoom. Yep. And I need to automate that a lot better. And I forgot exactly what the integration is, but it's incredible. So that's what I'm moving over to. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So I'm a huge Acuity fan. I've been an Acuity user for like 4 years, I think. Like it's insane. And I think they just are really, they have a great support, customer support, which is one of the big things that I look at when I
Mm-hmm.
get software. Cause I'm like, listen, I'm going to sometimes be a lost puppy and I need you to save me. So,
Yep.
and even as a systems person, I get lost. So, really what it's about is just understanding all of the different types of appointments you want to take,
Mm-hmm.
and having different calendars for them. Now, I'm not saying have like 18 different appointments. That's like you can group them together. So for example, I have well, let me back up. So there's three different verticals of appointment types. There's one that's connection, which is like, oh, I meet you at an event, or oh, we're going to be talking about a JV affiliate opportunity or whatever else. And those are kind of under the connection vertical. So however many calendars you need under that, that's one part. Then you have clients. And so that's under kind of the consult arena. And so those are people who are paying you for your time. So you have maybe group calls, or you have one-on-one calls or stuff like that. Any calls that people are paying you for are kind of in this other bucket. And then the third bucket is really like basically, I'm like totally blanking on what I even call it, but essentially it is for any sort of hiring or anything that has to do with like partnership, and the connection has already been made.
Like networking, collaboration. No, wait,
Yeah,
collaboration would be under connection.
yeah, it is. It's gonna bother me that I don't know. So
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just
I'm the same way. It bothers me so much when I forget something.
oh, good gracious. And so that one, a lot of people, okay, I'm gonna open this now.
So
Appointment types.
connections, consult. I think that's
Cons-
three buckets. Okay, now what if you wanted to add another bucket? Can you do that?
Yeah, you totally can. And I mean, connection is so, for example, I have two different types of connection. I have a sales connection and I have like a let's chat, which just means like we're connecting for the first time. People ask me to do coffee chats all the time. That's what that link is for. So those are two separate links. And it's very important for those to be two separate links because for my sales calls, I ask a lot of different questions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you struggling with? How many people are on your team? Who are those people? Et cetera, et cetera. And if I'm just chatting with somebody, I don't need to know all these things about them. So the intake form side of it is huge because you want to get on the call and be prepared. I don't know if you go into it and you're like, wait, I have this coffee chat with somebody and I have no idea where we met and like I have no idea what we were even talking about because life is happening. I don't have, a whole ton of brain space. So it really helps. So my 20-minute chats, again, those are my sales. There's a long list of questions and have that as your intake form.
Mm-hmm.
If you just have a coffee chat form, literally all I say is, where do we meet and what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So then I can get on the call and be like, oh yeah, okay, we met in that Facebook group and we're going to talk about this whole thing. And it's like, shoop, like I can just be prepared for the call immediately. And honestly, nobody gets offended. It's helpful. So I think that, that's one thing that I've gotten is like, well, doesn't that look like you don't know like who you're talking to? And I guess I haven't gotten that feedback yet. But it's just super helpful because there's so many things going on. We don't have time
Yeah,
to
no.
like do all this nonsense. And so then for consults, I have my intensives and then I
Mm-hmm.
also have just my one-off 1 hour consults. Those are two separate as well, because again, for my intensives, I need to know a lot more information from you than
Right.
just for my 1 hour consults. And so those are important. But I also have a mentorship that I do. So I also have mentorship calls. Those are different because they're having to give me specific information.
Mm-hmm.
So again, thinking out all of these different types of calls and finding ways to just help simplify that. So again, let's chat could be somebody I met in an event, could be somebody I met in a Facebook group, could be somebody that it was an email intro to me. And so you can kind of bucket that as some sort of call. You don't have to have a coffee chat, an event chat, whatever chat. Just keep it simple and go from there. And also, if you do in-person coffee chats, something that can be fun is having a separate link for that and listing out like the three top coffee places you like to meet. and saying like, which one do you want or which one works for you, literally in the intake form. So then that way you don't have to go back and forth then about where you're going. It's like, perfect. She picked the Starbucks that's 15 minutes away because she's 30 minutes away. Or, oh, the one that's down the street from me because she lives down the street. Like, again, how can you alleviate those little back and forth tedious things that you don't think about? It's like, I don't want to go back and forth about the best Starbucks and then having to give you the address and stuff. It's already in there. Choose which one that works for you and we're good to go.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
And so there was connections, consults,
Yes,
or consultations. And then the third bucket.
Oh my
dun,
gosh.
Dun, dun.
Dun, 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 is, I know, I'm like.
The anticipation is building. What is the third bucket, Jordan?
Content. How could I forget this? Jeez. Content.
So content is the third bucket.
Content is the third bucket because if you have a podcast, using Acuity to have your guests go through and gathering all the information at once. So again, if you need to get their headshot, if you need to get their website link or a freebie link or their address, if you send them like a gift, all of that stuff can happen in Acuity. Do not go back and forth with people about that stuff because you can ask. Also, if you do guest blogs, so it's interesting. People just think of Acuity as like I'm getting on a call or video or something like that. So I've actually been able to use it for guest blogging or guest vlogging in the sense that people can choose when they want their guest post to go live. So it doesn't mean we have a call. It just basically marks on my calendar like, oh, you need to like put this and this is when it's scheduled out. That way both you and the person know when it's going to be live. And it just saves that spot in your calendar. So it's not something that is busy and then you have like a blank hour on your calendar. It just says, so-and-so's guest blog post goes out today. And then that way you have, the link to their post as in a Google Doc, you have their bio, you have their headshot, you have all that stuff. So you just go in Acuity, grab it, plug it into the guest post template, and then schedule it for the date that they have in Acuity.
That's so perfect.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's also what I've done for my JV webinars is like, we aren't technically getting on like a call through Acuity, through Zoom. We're going in through Demio, which is my webinar software. But it at least holds the spot in both of our calendars so that we know this is when our JV webinar is going to be, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really good to know since I'm going to be doing a lot of JV webinars coming up.
Yeah, I'll send you all my stuff. But yeah, so the 3 categories are content, consult, and clients.
Okay, that's really awesome. So, and then you've just automated from Acuity to Google Calendar. Now, how does your Google Calendar look? Yeah,
so I make sure I have it pretty set up in a couple different ways. I have set it up a couple different ways, and this is the way that's worked the best, is I kind of have it separated out in the main calendar, which is just like mastermind calls, coffee chats, all of that sort of stuff, clients. And then I have a separate calendar in G Suite for my travel. And so that automatically will block off and make sure that in Acuity, like no one will schedule during that time. And then I also have my podcast calendar, so that automatically shows which week is going to be my batch week. And then my Triple Threat JV Webinars calendar, which is, again, just where all of my JV webinar people have chosen in Acuity. But again, it also will show up as busy on my other calendars. So those are the 4 main ones. I could batch it out even more and pull out, clients and pull out podcast interviews and stuff like that. But I just have found that keeping all of that stuff in one calendar ends up being better. And really the only things I need to pull out were travel podcasts and my JV webinars. And it's worked really, really well.
Okay, awesome. So do you put anything else in your Google Calendar besides that?
No, I keep it pretty clear. Asana is where I obviously...
This is why we're friends.
Asana is where I have like tasks stuff.
Me
tasks,
too.
Projects, all of that. I cannot do that in my Google Calendar. Like it just...
Me either. It's tough. I've been
Breaks.
trying to figure it out because I like how Google Calendar blocks off time. And in Asana, you can't do that. You can assign a time. But so I've been trying to figure out, okay, how can I integrate this in the best way possible? And actually, a listener to this show told me about this Zap that you can do. And so I'm like looking into that. But
Interesting.
yeah, it is. You can block off time, but I don't know. I still haven't figured out the best way to do it. But with Asana, sometimes like what I've had to do is I've grouped tasks within Asana, and then I've batched that group of tasks in Google Calendar. So for instance, like on Tuesday, Thursday mornings, that's my content creation time. So from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., that's when I'm going to be doing content creation. So throughout the week, if I have something I want to do content wise, I put it under that content creation checklist on either Tuesday or Thursday. That way, when I see that time on my Google Calendar, I go to Asana, open up that task, and there's the categorized checklist of, okay, this is what I have to do within this time. And then I set a timer on my phone, and I only look at that Asana task and work on content until the timer goes off.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's the best workaround that I've seen so far. So I don't have it on everything. And honestly, as scheduled and systemized as I am, and I'm not even near as much as you, I mean, I don't even touch Jordan Gill, but as systemized as I am, there's something in me that doesn't want to see a Google Calendar full of things I have to do every day, even if they're not even work related, even if it's like yoga from 2 to 3. It's like this rebel in me. It's like, you can't tell me what to do. I'll do whatever I want.
I know, exactly. I know. It's funny how our brains work. And I mean, it's also can come down to like, basically, I guess, batching your days in the sense of, like I know that I'm only going to do JV webinars on Wednesday and Thursday at these specific times. So then these other times I can do podcast interviews or coffee chats or whatever else. And so I do a 3-day work week. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that just works out with how my business runs. And basically, Tuesdays are really open for me to do whatever. And then Wednesday, Thursdays are either JV webinar days or podcasts or stuff like that. And sometimes it trickles into Tuesday as far as podcasts or stuff like that. But generally speaking, that's how like my week works. And it works out really well. I had a 4-day work week last half of 2017. And that worked really well. So it's like gradual. People are always like, oh, 3-day work week. I'm like, yeah, you could like jump in and really try to take off 2 entire days of your calendar. But for me, it was gradual. It was like, okay, let's try out 4 days a week. Now we can do 3 days a week and start to like feel into it. And that's what's really worked for me too. So knowing, for my podcast, I batch it in a week, as you know. And so
which
I
is
don't
incredible.
which I don't have to then factor that in on a weekly basis because I already know it's happening in April and October. Like it's already happening. And so it frees up all that time that I would have had to do on a weekly basis. And also different things, you just batch it out versus having to factor it in every single week. I'm a huge batcher and that is just the best way I found. Because if you can just immerse yourself into something, I don't know about you, but when you get into the focus, it is the most like beautiful thing ever.
Yes.
And so it's like, how
is.
can I get into the focus for podcasting? How can I get into it for content creation for my course? How can I get into it for XYZ 1, 2, 3? And that has helped alleviate a lot of that time for me to be able to have a 3-day work week.
Yeah, and even just having it, that's why I said the thing about the Google Calendar because, like let's say this was on my calendar at 2 p.m., but I don't feel like doing it. I'm not going to be the best at doing that if at 2 p.m. And also I do know my productivity time, so I know the morning's better for me because my brain thinks better, but I don't know. I love being in that zone to where I'm so on fire. There's like this fire in my butt. I'm so excited about this task. That's why this launch, I've actually been working on, okay, how can I prepare for launches without cutting it to the very end, but also having fun doing it. Like, okay, I was testing, I always test productivity stuff. So I'm testing it to say, okay, I'm not going to work on my webinar slides until I feel excited about it. And so I just waited, and I waited for a week and a half. And, I started this 2 months ago. So,
Right,
I gave myself time.
Some time.
But I waited a week and a half, and I felt so passionate. I spent 3 hours reading this webinar book, mapping it out, all this stuff. And then I stopped, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Waited another week. Didn't pick it back up. And then I got super motivated again. I got on a call and I did all these slides. And I did all these slides in like 2 hours, which was like 100 slides, because I was so just working so fast because my brain was, I feel like if we did more of that and we just had all these systems in place like Jordan's talking about, and then if you don't have a profit plan, which, like, what are you doing with your life?
Right.
You need to have a profit plan and the skeleton of everything that maps out to your revenue goal. That way you know what you have to do to make that money. But then everything else is just space for you to create and be and love your business.
Exactly.
It's magical. It really
Amen.
is.
100%. And I think it's really, when I was taking on intensive clients, I had A/B weeks, and A weeks were when I took sales calls, when I did podcast interviews, and B weeks were all clients. And so I had one client a day. That's just how my business worked. And it was awesome because the client weeks were so fun, and I would be a lot more, like I would have, lunches already like sent to my house. They were in my fridge, and like I had just everything was just in client space so that I could just focus on my client, and there weren't any other decisions to be made.
Nice.
There were people pinging me, but I wasn't answering, and all of this stuff. So that way it's all clients. And those were like my favorite weeks because it was just like I get to hang out with my clients all week. And
that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it's just really helped. It helped a ton with productivity, just in the sense of, okay, I only have 2 weeks out of the month to get all this stuff done, and then 2 weeks to like focus on clients. And I think my clients really could feel how present I was. Because I don't know about you, you've been on those coaching calls sometimes, and you can tell that either they had a coaching call right before you, so they're having to like readjust their brain to like your business, or they're like rushing around, or like you just feel people's energy. And my energy is never running around crazy because I have one client a day, and it's you, and I get to focus on you. And I've read all of your stuff before the call, and like we're here, and it feels really good. And I think that there was just such a level of appreciation of just like, whoa, you like are super efficient, but you're very present with me. And I don't feel like anything else is going on, even though there's probably a million other things, you know what I mean?
And I do have to say that is your superpower because, and we talked about this before, but like you're such a one-on-one person. And I love that about you.
Yeah, and that just really comes back to knowing yourself.
Totally.
Like, do not build a business that you don't like. And I see it so often. And let me be real. I've tried things that I knew I wasn't going to like, but I just tried them. And then I was like, okay, that's a confirmation that I don't like that.
But at least you know.
Exactly. At least you know, and then you can avoid it. So I had a great deep dive yesterday with somebody about marketing, and it was centered around just like, SEO doesn't fit like my identity. Like it just doesn't. I like to build relationships. Like that's my moneymaker. And so that's also why social media wasn't high on my to-do list. That's why I wanted it to be, batched and on repeat, because I don't make money from my social media. That's just how my business rolls. I make money when I go to events, or when I go and speak, or when I go on podcast interviews. So that is my priority. And so anything else besides those things can move out the way, because I don't need to be spending a ton of time on it. So understanding yourself helps you understand your priorities, and how you can really maximize it, and looking at what works. Like, do not ignore what works. So many people, and I'm sure you've seen this, they're like, oh, this works so well, I want to do something else. Wow. Why?
What? Yes. Well, I'm in the advertising space a lot, and so I see that a lot with ads. Like Facebook ads work really, really well, and instead of scaling that funnel, you go to YouTube ads, and you're like, what are you doing? Why? Why would you not put everything into that Facebook ads funnel and maximize that ROI to like its highest potential, to where you literally cannot max out anymore? Like, you can't. And then move on to a different ad platform.
100%.
They're
But
leaving so much money on the table
yeah,
and
yeah.
energy.
And I get that sometimes it can be boring or feel redundant or, you want to get
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
creative stuff out. And I think that's normally why people do that. But I think that again, they're missing out on a lot of profit. And it's like you're having to start back over. So you've gone over this hump, like why don't just keep going instead of then you're back down at the bottom with something new. And it's gonna take you X amount. They think it's gonna go faster because they already got over the hump. But this is a new hump. Like this is not the same mountain that
Mm-hmm.
we're on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just stay on the mountain that's working and really like take it far.
Totally. I
Yeah.
love that. I feel
Yeah.
like we've covered so much
Yeah.
goodness in this episode. Like I'm blown away and I cannot wait until I have my next team meeting because I'm like, guys, look at what I learned. So I'm pumped to actually start implementing some of these things that I haven't. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for just sharing and being so open and transparent about these systems. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if you can't tell, I'm very excited and passionate about it. So I want everyone to have their time back because it's so precious and it's the only resource we don't get back.
Yeah, so true. Okay, now where can people hang out with you?
Yes. So you can come hang out. I'm an Instagrammer. I tend to do lots of Instagram
Yes.
stories. So you can come check me out at the Kolada group, TheKolada group. On Instagram. That's the same thing on Facebook. Or you can come listen to me on System Saved Me podcast. You can check it out on iTunes or go to systemsavedme.com for show notes. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for coming on. I've loved
Yeah.
having you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.